Hi, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us for today's event, Understanding Mass Save and Related Program Benefits for Low and Moderate Income Households. My name is Emily Lang, and I'm an Energy and Environmental Planner at the Berkshire Regional Planning Commission, and I'm going to be your host today. I just want to quickly run through the program agenda with you. First, our panelists will introduce themselves and tell you a little bit about their organizations. Next, I'll give you a brief overview of what clean energy entails. The rest of the program will be split into the two types of clean energy efficiency and renewable energy. We'll give you an overview of available technologies, current incentive programs with a focus on programs for low and moderate income households, and the first steps to take in accessing these programs. Then we'll wrap things up with a Q&A with our panelists, so please feel free to type your questions into the chat as they arise during the presentation. So we're going to present a lot of information to you today, so keep in mind you will all receive a digital copy of these slides, a recording of the presentation, and additional resources on the topics we're covering today. I'll also give you all my contact information in case you have any questions or want to talk about these or related issues in greater depth at a later date. So what I'm hoping you'll walk away with today is a better understanding of what clean energy is, why it's important, and a broad understanding of how to navigate the programs that are available. So now I'll introduce you to our panelists. Our three panelists today represent three organizations administering the Mass Save programs in Berkshire County. First up, we have Joan Chapman Bartlett, Weatherization Director at the Berkshire Community Action Council.
Thank you, Emily, and thank you everyone for attending this webinar today. My name is Joan Chapman Bartlett, Weatherization Director at BCAC, or Berkshire Community Action Council. BCAC is the federally mandated anti-poverty agency in Berkshire County. Our director is Deborah Leonzik, and we are one of 23 community action agencies located throughout Massachusetts. Besides the fuel assistance and weatherization programs, BCAC is the Western Mass Food Depot Distribution Center, offers microloans, runs the Warm Clothing Drive, assists with tax preparation, and partners with other local agencies on various programs. Today, I will be talking about the income eligible program sponsored by the local utility companies, Berkshire Gas, Eversource, and National Grid. Massachusetts has led the nation in energy efficiencies for many years, and this is due to the strong partnership with the gas and electric utilities. I'm happy now to introduce you to Ed Rutledge, the Outreach and Education Specialist at CET, the Center for Eco-Technology.
Thank you, Joan. And thanks, Joan. And hello, everyone. Thanks for being here today. And today happens to be my 7th anniversary at the Center for Eco-Technology. So if we could go somewhere after, you could buy me a drink, but maybe another time. CET is an environmental nonprofit organization that has been helping residents and businesses save money and live and work more sustainably for 45 years as of this year, with a wide range of energy efficiency and waste reduction programs and services. Among those, we implement a number of residential and commercial energy efficiency programs for utilities across the state, including Mass Save for Berkshire Gas, residential and business customers, and Mass Save multifamily customers, and also municipal light and power companies around the state. And as we like to say, we make green make sense. And I'd like to introduce Adam Maynard from Berkshire Gas.
Thanks, Ed. Hi, everybody. My name is Adam Maynard. I'm the Residential Energy Efficiency Program Manager at Berkshire Gas. I work very closely on a day-to-day or week-to-week basis with both BCAC and CET in the implementation of our energy efficiency programs at Berkshire. I'm the residential manager. We have a colleague of mine who manages our commercial accounts and commercial energy efficiency. But we'll get into all the details about Mass Save and about the energy efficiency programs through the remainder of the presentation.
Thank you all. So now I'll give you a brief overview of residential clean energy technology. Three main categories of clean energy technology are energy efficiency, which includes building envelope improvements or weatherization, appliances, heating and hot water, and lighting. Then we have renewable energy, which includes solar PV, solar hot water, and community solar, followed by other measures consisting of energy storage and electric vehicles. So in the interest of time, we're not going to be discussing electric vehicles today, but I will be including information on them in follow-up materials that I'll be sending to you. So there are numerous benefits of residential clean energy technology. It can lower monthly bills, decrease operational costs, especially for property owners of multifamily housing, improve resiliency to rising energy costs and power outages, reduce GHG emissions, improve the health, safety, and comfort of your living space, and it can create local jobs. So why is increasing the adoption of clean energy for low and moderate income households so important? Take a look at this map of the state of Massachusetts and a close-up of Berkshire County. The darkest blue in the map represents census tracts where households earning 60% or less of the state median income are spending on average upwards of 15% of their income on energy bills. As you can see, Berkshire County is one of the highest concentrations of these census tracts of any county in the state. So one of the main benefits of clean energy technology is for low and moderate income households who are disproportionately burdened by energy costs is that they help reduce energy use, which in turn reduces the cost of monthly energy bills. So now I'm going to hand it off to Adam Maynard of Berkshire Gas, who's going to give you an overview of what Mass Save is.
Thanks, Emily. So some of you folks may be familiar with Mass Save. You may have engaged with it before in your professional capacity, or maybe you've had an assessment and work done on your homes. But Mass Save is a statewide energy efficiency program in Massachusetts. It's coordinated by the utility companies that you see here on the screen, of which Berkshire Gas is just one. There are 6 what are called program administrators, which refers to the utility companies that you see here that administer Mass Save on a statewide basis. And really, Joan alluded to it before, but Massachusetts for many, many years has been a nationwide leader in the energy efficiency space. We get awards in Massachusetts on an annual basis for placement in the top echelon of states nationwide for energy efficiency work. And so it's a really exciting state to work in from the energy efficiency world. It's really cutting edge, pushing the envelope, and innovation happens when the utilities you see here coordinate to deliver the programs to Massachusetts electric and gas customers. So we'll get into much more detail through the rest of the presentation of the different facets of Mass Save and how to get involved, how to get your properties involved, and see what might be the potential savings for those areas. So I think I pass off now to Ed. And Ed, you're on mute.
Of course I am. So thank you. And what I'd like to do is just a brief overview of what we talk about when we talk about energy efficiency and why it's important. The short answer is that basically energy efficiency measures are the first and most cost-effective steps to lowering utility costs and having a more comfortable living space year-round. The measures we'll be talking about to increase energy efficiency are practical, affordable, and readily available at reduced or often no cost to ratepayers of all incomes in the state through Mass Save and related weatherization assistance, community action, and other programs that you'll be hearing more about. So some of the key areas that we look at to improve energy efficiency are, speaking of pushing the envelope, we also look closely at the building envelope. This refers to the shell of the building, the walls, windows, and doors, and other parts of the structure where we live and work. Making a building's envelope more energy efficient by insulating the walls and attics and sealing air leaks can significantly reduce our heating and cooling costs and make us more comfortable at home and at work, and can often improve indoor air quality. And these measures are referred together as weatherization. And just a little more detail, air sealing specifically reduces the amount of outside air infiltration into a home by identifying and targeting those spots where air is leaking through cracks and openings in the envelope of the building, through walls, floors, attic spaces, and so on. Once identified, these often hidden air leaks can be sealed with appropriate materials like caulking, foam spray insulation, and weather strip. The next step in weatherization is making sure the house or building is adequately insulated. While air sealing reduces outside air infiltration, Insulating reduces heat transfer through the building envelope and through the building's materials, holding heat in the conditioned space of the building where we want it. Insulating materials like cellulose and fiberglass are most commonly used to fill wall cavities, attics, floors above unheated basements and crawl spaces. And these will reduce and slow the heat transfer between the areas where the temperature differences are, primarily indoors and outdoors. Another important step for improving energy efficiency is the installation of what we call in the energy programs instant savings measures. These are also low or more frequently no cost materials that are installed during an energy assessment. And these will instantly reduce your energy costs once installed. Currently, instant savings measures are being shipped to people who are getting virtual home energy assessments. These include things like LED lights, light emitting diode bulbs. These are 80 to 90% more efficient than an incandescent bulb. They will last 25 times longer, generally provide much better light quality and color rendering than other types of lighting. And these days they come in every shape and size to fit all different kinds of lamps and fixtures. We also install water saving fixtures like low flow shower heads and faucet aerators that not only conserve energy, but also our water resources. And they do this simply through the process of aeration, moving more air into the mix while maintaining a good flow and good water pressure. Advanced power strips or smart strips are also included as an instant savings measure. And these save energy by preventing home electronics from drawing power when not in use, reducing what we call vampire load or standby power, which can actually add 10% or more to your monthly electric bill. One recent study found that devices in sleep or standby mode, which many devices in the home nowadays have, can account for up to 1/4 of all residential energy consumption. So advanced power strips are typically used in places like home entertainment centers or home office areas where there are several electronic devices that have these kinds of sensors and standby connections that are continuously drawing power even when not actively being used. And they're often plugged into a surge protector or a standard power strip. Smart power strips detect when the device is in standby mode and stop the standby loss at the plug rather than at the appliance. Programmable thermostats are another instant savings measures that provides automatic heating and cooling temperature setbacks with savings involved there. Energy efficiency also involves assessing the state of the major appliances and equipment in a home and considering upgrades to more efficient systems. Heating and ventilating and air conditioning systems commonly found in the home, such as furnaces, boilers, electric resistance or baseboard heating, air-to-air heat pumps or mini splits, and also biofuel systems like wood and pellet fuel stoves should be considered. Domestic hot water systems, such as conventional storage hot water tanks, boiler connected systems. Excuse me. Sorry about that. On-demand tankless water heaters, heat pump water heaters, and solar or thermal domestic hot water systems are also included in that category. Everyday appliances typically found in a home also consume a significant amount of energy, replacing inefficient refrigerators, freezers, window air conditioners, dehumidifiers, and so on with more efficient Energy Star rated appliances can significantly reduce costs as well. And another thing to look at besides programmable thermostats are other HVAC system controls, including smart thermostats, which can, again, automatically adjust heating and cooling temperatures according to your preset schedule. Now, for all of these measures, there are generous rebates and incentives available, and these are available through MassSave and the other energy programs that you'll hear a little bit more about today. Next, just to talk a little bit about some basic building science. It's helpful to understand the need for weatherization, especially for proper air sealing. One factor that has a major effect on comfort and utility bills is the stack effect, also called sometimes the chimney effect. As the temperature outside goes down, you need to increase the temperature inside, and this drives the stack effect. It forces cold, dense outside air inside through hidden air leaks called infiltration, and forcing out the warm, buoyant air that you're paying to try to keep at the temperature that you want through exfiltration. And the colder it gets, the greater the effect is driven, and the more you'll feel cold drafts and experience higher heating costs. You may have noticed this, excuse me, at home earlier this week when we had some very high winds and low temperatures in the region, which really drove the stack effect for a 48-hour period there. Even in a fairly efficient home, you might find some cold drafts or air moving through the envelope days like that or nights like that. But by locating these hidden air leaks, like as seen in the pie chart here, it shows some of the more common areas where these hidden air leaks are found, and sealing them with the appropriate weatherization material, you can break this cycle, eliminate those cold drafts, and reduce your heating and cooling costs. Mass save air sealing contractors will often do a test called a blower door test, where they can pressurize the house, much like those high winds do, and they can help find those leaks and specifically find the areas where they are and seal them with the appropriate material. Next, just to touch base a little bit or expand a little bit on what we've mentioned earlier as one of the possible HVAC systems is air-to-air heat pumps or air source heat pumps. This technology is increasingly popular as an efficient alternative to more conventional combustion heating systems, and like boilers and furnaces, or electric baseboard heating, and also to window AC units because they do heat and cool. But rather than directly burning fossil fuels, heat pumps efficiently move heat energy in the ambient air from one place to another, bringing heat into your home in the winter and removing it in the summer. It's a little bit like refrigeration, where a compressor removes heat from the interior of the refrigeration unit to the exterior coils and expels it. Simply, a heat pump compresses and moves ambient heat energy rather than converting fuel into heat like a combustion heating system, or generating radiant heat through friction like an electric baseboard system. And heat pump technology advancements now allow for excellent performance even on the coldest days of the year in New England. Heat pump systems can be either ducted or ductless, as seen in this picture. A ductless system is often called a mini split, and because they are small, as you can see, and they also split the difference between heating and cooling and can do both. And these are popular in new energy efficient homes and also great for retrofits. These systems avoid, the ductless systems avoid the heat loss experienced through ductwork and through pipes. If you have a steam or hot water system, it eliminates all that distribution loss and delivers the conditioned air directly into the space with an efficient fan. There are ducted air source heat pump systems. These are usually seen in larger facilities or commercial spaces located at the ceiling level or above a drop ceiling, a little bit more like a traditional furnace or air handler unit. But it's important to keep in mind that heat pump systems should be considered only after proper weatherization of a building or a home. This will reduce the overall heat load, ensure proper equipment sizing, and maximum efficiency of the system. Heat pumps also pair well with solar PV systems, photovoltaic systems, and for an even greater reduction in fossil fuel use and greater savings. And Emily, I believe, will be talking more about this a little later. And again, as with all the things we're talking about, Mass Save has great rebates for air source heat pumps of $250 per ton, which is a measure of the conditioning capacity. And most household systems, like the one pictured, are usually 1 or 2 tons. So you can get like a $500 rebate from a system like that, and can realize really great savings and paybacks from these units. Next is on a similar type of technology, but used to heat water instead of heating air. Heat pump water heating systems operate on basically the same principle, but the heat energy is moved from ambient air to water rather than air to air. And this process can be more than 3 times more energy efficient if you have an electric resistance type water heater, like an electric water heating tank, and at least twice as efficient as oil and propane fired water heaters. And so this can reduce your domestic hot water heating costs considerably. As noted here, heat pump water heating systems do require some space needs for installation, including height. They tend to be tall units, and they can't usually be installed in places where a regular water tank might be, like in a closet in an apartment or something like that. They also take heat energy from the surrounding space, so they do act to dehumidify and cool the area surrounding them. And this can be a great feature in a damp basement, but can be less so if you're trying to heat a space. So there can be some conflicting technology there. So just things to keep in mind. And again, mass save rebates available up to $600 for heat pump water heating systems installed that replace electric, propane, or oil water heaters, or when building a new home. So that's a little overview and some of the technology. And just to talk about the steps of the home energy assessment, which varies a little bit from program to program, but is really basically the same for most of the types of programs we'll be talking about. The steps are generally the same and are noted here on this slide. So for most ratepayers in the state, mass save is the way to access these services and incentives, whether it's administered by a mass save contractor or program or through a community action agency. The basic process of the energy assessment will be similar and include these steps. There will be some income-based variations, and we'll go into that in more detail later in this presentation. But the steps are that an energy specialist, you'll get scheduled, an energy specialist will come to your home, or currently they'll arrange a virtual visit through your smartphone or tablet or laptop. They do a thorough inspection from a basement to the attic, and they collect all the data needed to analyze your energy profile, building size, structure, materials, insulation levels, the types of combustion systems you have and their ages, the types of appliances you have, and then audit your bills and your energy usage. During an in-person assessment, an energy specialist can install those instant savings measures that I was talking about, the LED bulbs and water saving fixtures and a programmable thermostat and so on. For the virtual assessments that we're doing now, these items are getting shipped to people to install themselves. You'll then also become eligible for rebates on all the new appliances and equipment that I've been talking about, and you'll receive all the necessary applications and information, as well as information on the zero interest heat loan that's available in the state that helps pay for some of the more expensive or complex energy improvements that you might be interested in. And you'll be hearing more about that a little bit later too. And during an in-person assessment, your heating and hot water systems can be tested for safety and efficiency. Again, that's not something that can happen in a virtual assessment, but if you proceed with some work later, if you're going to get the house air sealed, for example, the contractor is going to want to test your combustion systems to make sure they're running safely and efficiently before they tighten up the house. And you'll receive a really comprehensive energy report with all the recommended improvements, the costs, the savings, the available incentives, payback in years, all the information you'll need to make a decision about what the next steps, the best next steps would be, and all the paperwork you'll need to get the work started. So really it's a total package that specs the job out and makes it easy to take those next steps. So you can go to masssave.com and put in your zip code and find out what your utility sponsor is offering and how to get scheduled. And the next slide is you can also check out our website, centerforecotechnology.org. learn about some of our energy programs and some of the other programs that we offer. We can help you get started with some of these things. But going to masssave.com is usually the best first step to start accessing these programs and these benefits. So thank you. And I think now it is Joan is going to tell us about Berkshire Community Action Council and their great programs.
Thank you, Ed. I will begin by explaining to you the energy efficiency programs for income eligible clients. BCAC's mission is to provide opportunities to move individuals and families out of poverty. As you saw by a previous slide, low-income clients are impacted by the high cost of heating. And if we can reduce the heating cost, then less of their household income goes towards heating, and more fuel, more money can go towards other necessities, food, shelter, medicine, etc. So let's look at the energy-related programs available to our clients. LIHEAP, or better known as fuel assistance, defrays the client's heating and electric bills. The Mass Save Income Eligible Program consists of 3 distinct programs. The Weatherization program allows for free energy efficiency upgrades. Why is this program so important? The rule of thumb is that completely weatherizing a home will save on average 25 to 35% on a home's fuel bill. So for every $1,000 spent, the client may save between $250 and $300 a year. The heating system replacement program is primarily for homeowners, not tenants, as landlords are responsible for providing a functioning heat system for their tenants. However, if a landlord is on fuel assistance, then the tenant could receive heating system assistance. System replacements are typically emergency in nature, but may also involve working systems that are too costly to repair. The new system that is installed must meet hefty energy efficiency standards, which allows for a desired payback. Older high-use appliances may be replaced to help reduce electric bills. Fridge, freezer, clothes washer, window air conditioner, and dehumidifier may be replaced at no cost to the client. Now let's look at the implementation of the services. BCAC will determine the participant eligibility, schedule and conduct an assessment, which we're doing both virtually and in-house at this point, arranges for the installation of the energy efficiency measures, performs an in-process and final quality control inspection. And I'll note that all contractors doing work through BCAC are licensed and insured. For more information or to schedule an energy assessment, call Sharon at BCAC 413-418-3671 or visit the website shown on our screen. Next, this screen shows the income guidelines. Household income that is at or below 60% of the state median income, as well as applicants that are on the utility discount rate, qualify for income eligible programs. As you can see, a family of 4 will qualify for their house if their household income is at or under $75,201. Next on slide, the important point here is that housing size will determine the programs and incentives that can be leveraged by the homeowner or tenant. I will cover the 1 to 4 unit buildings, and Adam will later cover in his presentation the multifamily guidelines shown on this slide. For 1 to 4 unit buildings, owners who earn at or below 60% of the state median income or at least half of the units are occupied by tenants that meet that criteria, would be served by BCAC. And note here that condos are considered single family. Now let's review the incentives. On the next slide, which is entitled the Mass Save Income Eligible Program, what is available? As we mentioned earlier, a no-cost home assessment and no-cost recommended efficiency measures such as thermal upgrades. No-cost replacement boiler, high-use appliances such as refrigerators, freezers, clothes washers, window air conditioners, and dehumidifiers, as I mentioned earlier, are also available. Who is eligible? Again, income eligible property owners and tenants. And keeping the 50% rule, if 50% or more tenants are income eligible, the entire home would be served under the income eligible program. So in a 3-unit building with 2 income eligible tenants, that third tenant who is not income eligible would still be served. And the reasoning is that we would serve the entire building at one time, rather than asking that the third tenant apply through the market rate program. The electric bill must be in the name of someone who resides in the home to receive the instant savings measures. This assures that the savings that are realized by the upgrades will benefit the person who is responsible for the bill. Discount rate clients, or clients that qualify for fuel assistance, qualify for the program. Now, how does one apply? Call your local CAP agency, which in Berkshire County is BCAC. And again, dial 413-418-3671 for Sharon, or the website. Customers not already qualified for LIHEAP will need to verify income with BCAC, if not on the utility discount rate. Next slide. I will end my presentation with a Mass Save income eligible case study. This is a 2-story, 2-family, oil-heated home in Springfield that had 2 older, high-maintenance boilers. The house had no insulation and was very drafty and leaky. The solution was to replace the boilers with high-efficient systems, insulate the pipes, and weatherize the home. As you can see here, the project cost was $31,727, and the savings per year was $2,517, which is about a 12-year payback. The added benefit to upgrading this home is that by making these improvements, it extends the fuel assistance dollars for these occupants. So now I'll hand over the presentation to Adam Maynard from Berkshire Gas, who will talk about other Mass Save programs.
Thanks, John. So I'll talk about a couple of the other ways that customers can get involved in Mass Save. One of those programs is called the Enhanced Residential Program, and that's for moderate income eligible customers. Moderate income customers are defined by Mass Save as customers who, if you see in that yellow box in the middle there, are 61 to 80% of state median income. And you can see the income breakdown for households in the chart at the top of the screen. Like the income eligible program that Joan just described, the moderate income eligible or enhanced residential program also offers considerable incentives and savings for qualified customers. It includes that no-cost energy assessment, the no-cost instant savings measures, no-cost insulation and air sealing. So that's an incredible value right there. And then hefty equipment and appliance rebates of up to $2,750. The full breakdown of the equipment and the appliance rebates can be found on masssave.com. Moderate income customers also have the chance to apply for 0% heat loan financing. That's a really great opportunity for customers if they want to fund the improvements over the course of several years instead of paying for what they're responsible for upfront. And then this is also an interesting feature of the enhanced residential program. If as part of the condition of the property, when the energy specialist goes in and does the assessment, they discover significant barriers to doing the actual weatherization work. Things like knob and tube, things like vermiculite or asbestos in the insulation or in the siding. The moderate income customer would be eligible for grants from the state of Massachusetts to help mitigate those barriers so that the energy efficiency work can move forward. And you can see the grant limits based on what type of barrier is discovered there in the bottom of the screen. To discover if you might be eligible for the enhanced residential program, again, I feel like we're saying this a lot this presentation, but you can go to masssave.com or call that 1-800 number to start the process. I'm going to talk about a couple of other programs here or ways to take advantage of the incentives that MassSave has to offer. I just wanted to note quickly that two kind of major programs or major offerings in Massachusetts that we're not going to talk about in this presentation is the residential new construction program. So if you're by any chance working on a new residential building, we do have incentives for you as well, but we're focusing on the existing building pathways here in this presentation today. And the other program that I wanted to talk about that I mentioned at the beginning of the presentation is our commercial programs. So if you have a building that's on that's a business or an institutional account, there are commercial incentives for energy efficiency improvements as well. As far as the residential work is concerned, market rate is another major way to get involved in MassSave. It's for any customer that doesn't fall into the income eligible program or the moderate income eligible program, market rate is going to be the way to participate in MassSave. And you'll see from the criteria listed here that even though it is the market rate program, there are still considerable incentives on the table for each customer to take advantage of. Included in those incentives or those features are the no-cost energy assessment, the no-cost instant savings measures. For the market rate program, this next bullet is a little bit of a departure from the other programs that we've talked about so far, but the incentive level is 75% or more off approved installation improvements. So even though market rate customers are expected to pay a copay on some of those improvements, you can see that at 75% or more, those costs are still greatly incentivized by the MassSave program. And then there's the no-cost air sealing and the equipment or appliance rebates of up to $2,750. Market rate customers also have the option to finance their copay for their improvements through the heat loan process up to $25,000 and to take advantage of some of the barrier removal. And then who can take advantage of market rate? Households living in 1 to 4 unit buildings that do not qualify for either of the income eligible programs that we talked about earlier. And again, how to get involved, go to masssave.com or call 1-866-527-SAVE. We also have a way specifically tailored for landlords to get involved in MassSave. Landlords are a really valued stakeholder, obviously in the built environment in Massachusetts. And so we devised this pathway for them specifically. A lot of the features are the same. There's the no-cost energy assessment, the no-cost instant savings measures, no-cost installation, and then the equipment and appliance rebates. Landlords can also take advantage of the heat loan, but their limit is slightly increased from a market rate customer. They can qualify for up to $50,000 worth of improvements. Who is eligible for the landlord pathway? Landlords of 1 to 4 unit buildings or condo owners in attached 2 to 4 unit condominiums. And the way to determine eligibility and participation is the same all around. Wanted to quickly talk about tenants in 1 to 4 unit buildings as well. There are still ways for tenants to participate in mass save if they, by any chance, have a landlord who is resistant to participating the entire property themselves. So there are some simple ways that the tenants, without the buy-in of their landlord, can still get some of those energy efficiency features and equipment that we incentivize in mass save. And then also tenants can also petition their landlords, and if the landlord is interested in participating, they can, through the landlord pathway and through a collaboration amongst landlords and tenants, more of the deeper energy savings and cost savings and comfort achieving installations and equipment can be installed, including weatherization, heating systems, and so forth that the tenants don't have control over. And I want to mention for this too, I know I'm talking about market rate programs, but that landlord tenant split does apply to the income eligible program as well. Next, I'm going to be talking about the income eligible multifamily opportunities. So there's a multifamily pathway for multifamily buildings to participate. LEAN administers the multifamily program. LEAN stands for the Low Income Energy Affordability Network in Massachusetts. It's the body that is in charge of coordinating the CAP agencies statewide, so they have really good visibility and reach to every corner of Massachusetts. What is the multifamily retrofit program? Well, it's a no-cost whole building assessment and electric appliance audit. You get the no-cost installation of recommended efficiency measures. All lighting, mechanical, and weatherization opportunities are reviewed. And there's an energy benchmarking service free for 1 year. Building owners or property managers who would like to reduce their building's energy use and costs can participate in the multifamily program. Properties owned by public housing authorities, nonprofit and for-profit organizations are all eligible. And 50% or more of households in the multifamily building must be income eligible in order to qualify for this pathway, although there is a market rate multifamily path as well. Properties with any heating fuel can participate. I didn't mention this when I was talking about the slide describing the mass save program with the 6 program administrators and utilities, but a customer's participation in mass save typically follows the utility with which you have your heating account. So for example, if a customer in Berkshire County has an Eversource account for their electricity, but a Berkshire Gas account for their heat, they would participate in mass save through Berkshire Gas. Properties with any heating fuel are eligible, and tenants can refer their property managers similarly to how I was talking about on the previous slide with the landlord-tenant split. So you can complete an online information form at leanmultifamily.org, and then you can also call the 617-348-6425 number for intake and application questions to determine if this approach might be the right one for you. And a couple of the things you'll need to have prepared in order to determine participation are utility bills and account numbers, building information, capital plans or planned projects, and any tenant eligibility documentation that the tenants do qualify for the income eligible threshold. The LEAN multifamily assessment process proceeds as follows. There's a whole building assessment, which takes a look at the heating and the hot water equipment, the insulation and air sealing opportunities in the building envelope, and then the efficient variable speed drives, typically on the heating and hot water equipment. For the electric and appliance audit, the assessor will look at refrigerators, freezers, window AC units, and clothes washers. They will look at opportunities for water saving devices, and then the all common interior and exterior lighting, including in-unit. Finally, I'll talk about a LEAN multifamily case study. This is a really interesting project. It's a 200-unit development located in Agawam. The property owners are responsible for the gas utilities, and the common area lighting, and residents pay for individual unit utilities. And ABCD out of Boston was the cap agency who led this effort. The annual cost savings realized by this project were about $68,000. The total project cost about $560,000, and the net cost to the owner was $0. So there were significant savings realized with this project, with a pretty decent payback as well, at no cost to the owner. The ABCD team identified the efficiency opportunities and added wall insulation, air sealing, and the attic hatch ceiling. And then LED fixtures were installed in the bathrooms, common spaces, stairs, halls, and around the entryways. And now I believe I will be passing it off to Emily to talk about some other multifamily programs.
Sorry, I was muted. Thank you, Adam. So now I'm going to talk about some other energy efficiency multifamily programs that are not associated with MassSave. The first is called the LISC, Comprehensive Energy Audit Program. This program is for nonprofit, for-profit, and housing authority multifamily affordable housing projects in a very specific stage. They have to be approaching the refinance or rehabilitation stage, or for projects that are pursuing adaptive reuse to become multifamily affordable housing. So this program provides grants to fund 50% of a comprehensive, or what's considered an investment grade, energy audit. Audits typically run between $10,000 and $15,000 in cost, depending on a bunch of factors related to the property itself. So selected projects would pay 50% of that total. Investment grade audits can be used as a basis for underwriting projected savings with permanent lenders. It's important to note that this program is not designed to replace the lien multifamily. It goes above and beyond that type of analysis included in lien, and involves detailed energy calculations and financial analysis of proposed energy efficiency measures. It provides enough information to determine if projects should be implemented, and evaluates energy efficiency opportunities beyond the measures for which lien installs. Selected properties also receive free benchmarking services leading up to and following the refinance rehab stage, so that owners can track the property's energy and water savings. You'll see some ways to access this program listed below. Again, I will be sending everyone this presentation, so don't worry about writing down any long websites or emails. And so the other program I want to talk about is also for multifamily housing. It's called New Ecology's Remote Monitoring and Optimization Service, or REMO. This is a 24/7 real-time remote monitoring service for HVAC and hot water systems to ensure proper operation, maximize efficiency, and identify needed repairs, routine maintenance, and urgent operational issues. This program has helped buildings achieve gas savings of 9% and solved other long-standing operational issues. This technology also creates a recorded history, so for anyone can access, and it outlives staff changes. REMO is suitable for property owners of low-income multifamily buildings with central heating and/or hot water systems who want to save energy, reduce operational costs or service calls, and improve tenant comfort. A 3-year service contract is typically $6,750, but more than half of that is covered for affordable multifamily housing or nonprofit owners. So you can contact New Ecology by phone or email, or to have a conversation with a representative to determine if REMO would be a good fit, or visit newecology.org for more information. Last but not least, I'm going to give a brief overview of solar PV and energy storage technology, state incentives, and steps to access those incentives. Solar photovoltaics, or solar PV, is a renewable energy technology used to capture energy from the sun and convert it to electricity. While there are different kinds of solar technologies like solar thermal used for hot water, this is likely what people think of when they think of solar panels. This electricity can be consumed on-site or delivered to the grid to serve loads elsewhere in the distribution system. On-site usage offsets electricity that would otherwise be purchased from the utility. Solar PV can be paired with battery storage, which can increase a building's resilience to power outages by releasing energy during those outages. Solar PV also pairs well with battery storage and with heat pumps installed in weatherized homes, as Ed mentioned earlier, and that makes all three technologies more efficient and more cost-effective. There are two primary ownership models for solar PV, direct ownership and third-party ownership. In a direct ownership model, the property owner purchases a system from an installer and the property owner assumes responsibility for system operation and maintenance. This requires a large capital investment, but has a payback of 6 to 8 years and enables the owner to take advantage of available solar incentives and tax credits. However, the owner also inherits the risk associated with any system underperformance. In a third-party ownership model, a solar installer or financing partner owns the solar PV system, and the customer can either lease the system or purchase the power generated by the system to meet electricity demands. Panels can be leased, where the customer makes monthly payments through the length of a contract, and the customer receives electricity produced by the system for no additional cost. The customer can also choose to do a power purchase agreement, which is an agreement to purchase the power generated by the solar panels. And an advantage of doing it this way versus a lease is that the system if the system stops working or underperforms, the customer's costs will also fall accordingly. There's no upfront capital cost for the resident under a third-party ownership model, and low-income customers that are interested in a third-party ownership model should have their installer calculate their savings analysis based on the utility discount rate that's available to low-income customers. Another thing I want to mention is community solar. Community solar allows customers to support the development of local solar PV projects, but to not install panels on their property. Community solar is suitable for renters, residents of multi-tenant buildings, and residents of properties deemed unsuitable for solar for one reason or another. The individual will remain a customer of their utility and receive credit back on their electricity bill. Participants may either own a share of the project or subscribe to the energy generated and may therefore pay a lower price for electricity. Under a subscription model, customers will receive credits on their utility bill based on the production of their portion of the project. Subscribing to a community solar project may be advantageous to a customer if the cost of subscription is less than the cost of electricity from their utility. Typically, project sponsors will offer customers a discount of around 5 to 15% on hour credits that are applied to their electric bill. However, low-income customers on the utility discount rate might not see these savings. Under an ownership model, the customer will purchase a number of solar panels and receive electricity generated by those panels. When pursuing community solar for low-income customers, it's important to ensure that the community solar development is tailored for low-income customers and addresses challenges that they might face, like ensuring the electricity costs do not increase. Participants should carefully read the terms and conditions of their contract. Under an ownership model, customers should also consider any contract restrictions, such as a long-term contract requirement and cancellation fees that might be incurred in the case of a move. It's also important to note that customers might pay more in the summer and less in the winter, but that those summer credits carry over to pay for winter electric usage. So this might not be the most cost-effective option for low-income customers that receive the utility discount rate, but community solar is still a good thing to be acquainted with because over time there will be more programs that cater to low-income customers. So for example, National Grid is actually in the process of filing a proposal for a program that will make it easier and more cost-effective for low-income residents to participate in community solar. And next, we have energy storage, which is battery technology that stores energy generated either from the grid or from renewable sources that may accompany it, like solar panels. Energy is stored and then discharged at a later time to meet electric demands on-site or on the grid. Customers with energy storage can enroll in the MassSafe Connected Solutions program if they are customers of Eversource or National Grid. And this program offers incentives for allowing your utility to draw energy stored in your battery during times of peak electricity demands to help balance out the electric grid. Customers are eligible to apply for a heat loan for the material and labor costs associated with installing a battery storage system to participate in this program. Your utility will pay $225 per kilowatt hour for a battery's average contribution during summer events and $50 for winter events. Different batteries can contribute different amounts over the 2 or 3 hour events, but for a typical battery size for a single family residence, the program would pay around $1,375 per year of participation. And you can find out more about that at masssave.com. And now here's a state incentive for solar PV and how to access it. The main incentive for solar available to Massachusetts residents is the Massachusetts Renewable Target Program, known as SMART. SMART provides incentives for solar development and the incentive payment is tied to the amount of electricity produced. Eligible projects must be interconnected through Eversource, National Grid, or Unitil. While this is a market rate program, there are additional incentives for low-income applications as well as for community solar and energy storage, and these are called off-taker-based adders. So it's worth mentioning that there are several active proposals to update the SMART program to further encourage access to solar PV for low-income customers. It's also important to note that this program does have some complexity to it. So solar developers and installers are equipped to help owners and property managers understand what incentives are available to them. You can call Clear Result to find out more at 888-989-7752 or visit masmartsolar.com for more info. So to finish up before we jump into the Q&A, I want to leave you with a few main takeaways. As I said to you earlier, you'll be provided with all this information, so don't worry if you didn't absorb most of it or if you didn't catch specific email addresses or website URLs. There are also other programs available through MassSave that I'm happy to talk with any of you about at a later date, including programs, as Adam mentioned, for new construction, renovations and additions, and the market rate multifamily program. So the four main takeaways I want you to leave this webinar with are that: 1, MassSave program eligibility depends on an applicant's income and the number of units in the building where they live. 2, call MassSave as its first step in accessing any energy efficiency program. They will assess an applicant's eligibility and direct them to the correct program. If an applicant knows that they are income eligible or has an income between 0 and 60% state median income, call Berkshire Community Action Council if you reside within Berkshire County. If an applicant is not sure whether or not they are income eligible, they can call MassSave, and MassSave will help determine eligibility and reroute applicant to BCAC. And number 4, consider heat pump heating and cooling as the next step after weatherization, and combine with solar PV and storage to maximize savings and minimize fossil fuel usage. And so first of all, I just want to thank you all very much for listening. You'll receive a digital packet of information, which will include more details of what we covered today, a quick reference guide on available incentives, eligibility, and how to access the incentives. You'll also receive a recording, and this webinar will also be on the Berkshire Regional Planning Commission's YouTube page, so you can find it there. So if you have any other questions, please feel free to email me at a later date, so separate from the Q&A, but email me at a later date at elang@berkshireplanning.org. And I'm also available to give presentations to your individual organizations if you're looking for more information on anything covered today or on related topics. So now please stick around for a Q&A with our panelists. So if you have any questions, please use the raise hand function, or you can type them into the chat. Okay, so it looks like we got a couple of questions. We have some FAQs, but I think we'll go through questions from the audience first. So the first question is, for customers who are primarily Spanish speaking and want to schedule an energy assessment, is assistance available in Spanish both to schedule the assessment and for the assessment itself?
I can speak to that regarding BCAC. We have literature available in several languages that talks about the highlights of the program. Also on staff, we have at least 2 Spanish-speaking employees that could assist with any questions in getting any appointment scheduled. Typically, when this happens, we try to arrange an interpreter because some of the explanation in an audit is pretty complex, and so we try to work that.
Just some additional context too for folks who either may not be income eligible or may not be in BCAC's territory. The entire MassSave website is available in Spanish and Portuguese. You can toggle it at the top of the screen at masssave.com, and I believe there are dedicated call center staff for home energy assessment intake and things like that who are also Spanish speaking. So just some additional context there.
We also got another chat. Catholic Charities can assist with written or virtual translation for several languages at no cost. One of our participants has used their interpreter services with families before, so that might be an organization worth checking out. And another question. So Adam, someone got the Mass Save audit done. It was found that they had asbestos, but they were never able to get the asbestos removal grant. Do you have any advice?
So I actually chatted Jennifer directly with a little bit of a longer explanation, but the true answer is it depends. It depends on what the specific conditions were that were encountered on the property and what program the property was going through. So I've asked Jennifer to follow up with me first with some more information, and I'll get her an answer on that.
Okay.
Thank you, Adam. I got your message. I'll email you after this.
Great.
Sounds good.
And how often can a homeowner request a home energy assessment?
Typically, if a customer has had an energy assessment within the past 3 years, we wouldn't recommend that they have a subsequent energy assessment. They might still be eligible for simple things like ISM shipment, or if they have a specific need, like their heating system goes out, or they have some trouble with their equipment, we can address that specific need in what's called a special home visit. But other than that, once every 3 years, it's not worth going through the kind of comprehensiveness of a home energy assessment twice.
Okay, and how would someone get the knob and tube program?
So again, it depends on what program you're participating through. Whether you're income eligible, moderate income, or market rate. Donna, do you want to share more about the property?
So Donna, that was your question. If you want to share anything.
I'm sorry, you said Joan?
No. Donna Thomas asked that question.
Oh,
so
got
Donna, if you have any other details on that, so we can give you a more specific answer, feel free to shout it out. Okay, well, I guess we'll just move on then. So another question was, what was the average cost savings for the development's residents? This came from Jennifer. Jennifer, could you let us know which program you're referring to?
Yes, I was referring to the multifamily 5 or more units. I work at such a facility. I'm a very low man on the totem pole, so I would not be the one to sign off on such a project. I'm just trying to gather information for our property manager.
Okay. Okay, Adam, do you think you could answer that?
Sorry, what was the question? I've been going through the chat box.
What is the average cost saving for the development's residents for the lead multifamily?
And Donna, I know you chatted that in at the time that I was going through the case study. Were you talking about that specific case study, or were you wondering in general?
This is Jennifer's question.
I'm sorry, Jennifer.
Yes, so this was a question related to the case study, but in general, what is the potential realized savings for residents?
I don't know that figure off the top of my head. Joan, do you know on average what
Well, I think she was referring to the multifamily. So because BCAC doesn't do the multifamily, you were referring to the multifamily, correct?
Yes, I was, the 5 or more units.
And yeah, so
I can try and find some information on that and follow up with you.
Thank you.
There's another, just for additional context, there's another cap agency in Berkshire territory that manages our lean multifamily work, Community Action Pioneer Valley out of Greenfield. So I'll just ask them for that information.
Thank you, Adam.
Okay. So are there any other questions? Because otherwise I can just run through, we can just run through some FAQs that we've written down here, but we'd like to answer questions of anyone in the audience first before we do that. Okay. So FAQ 1, do I need a full home energy assessment with an energy specialist if I just want an appliance rebate?
I can answer that. The short answer is no. You don't need to get a full-blown energy assessment, especially as Adam said, if you had one in recent memory. You can go just to the website at MassSave and get all the information you need on getting a rebate for whatever appliance it is that you're interested in. You can download the rebate forms. You can print them out and mail them in, see lists of the different appliances that are eligible for rebates before you buy one, and make sure you get one that qualifies. That being said, if you haven't had an energy assessment in recent memory, that's a really good first steps. And then an expert can come in and take a look at your appliances and make some recommendations and give you that paperwork and get you started and see, maybe what the best options are for you for upgrades. But if you already know what you need and know what you want, you can certainly go to MassSave, go to the residential rebates and incentives page, and get all the information there from everything from the smart thermostats and heating systems and hot water heaters and all the other appliances that we've been talking about. All the rebate information is there. And I'll put a link in into the chat for that if anyone needs it.
Thanks, Ed. So number 2, I'm a homeowner and need a new hot water heater. Who do I call?
Okay, I can answer that. Because it depends on the heating source, the best advice is to call 1-866-527-7283 MassSave number. I can say that I do know that the city of Pittsfield, through community development, does assist with water heaters as well. So if you're a Pittsfield resident, you could contact City Hall and Community Development.
Thanks. And number 3, from a commercial/institutional utility customer, can I still participate in these programs?
So as I alluded to before, the answer to this is definitely yes. We focused this presentation largely on the residential sector because that's the program that I oversee and that Joan works with and that I work on with CET. But for any customers with commercial or institutional accounts who want to explore what energy efficiency opportunities may be available at those locations, there's a whole similar program designed specifically for those customers, and you can learn more about that at masssave.com.
And I see that Henny just typed a message into the chat. City Hall Community Development Housing Specialist. Great. Henny Harvinder, phone number 413-499-9367 for Pittsfield residents. So thank you for that. And finally, my building is mixed use. Can I get my residential tenants involved? That's the last question.
So the answer to this one is similar to the answer to number 3, with the added complexity or the added opportunity of the landlord-tenant split that we were talking about earlier in the presentation. If the building is mixed use, residential over retail, for example, there's definitely a way to get the ground floor businesses and the 2 to 4 to 5 story residential tenants up above involved and eligible for incentives and have those improvements installed. This typically is done via a custom approach based on the specific makeup of the building. but that's something that that we can definitely handle, and to look for those comprehensive energy efficiency opportunities at those properties.
Great. Thanks. So if there are no other questions, I think we'll leave it here for today. Thank you everyone so much for sticking around, for participating, for your questions. Please feel free to reach out to me, as I said, elang@berkshireplanning.org. If you have more questions, we'll chat about any of this stuff that we covered today. Otherwise, I think that's all. Thank you everyone. And thank you very much to our panelists.
Thank you, Emily. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.